Hello Gates. Dionne Warwick, born Marie Dionne Warwick in December 1940, grew up surrounded by music in East Orange, New Jersey. Her mother managed a gospel group and her cousin was the legendary Whitney Houston, so from an early age, Dionne was immersed in a musical environment that shaped her voice and her spirit. She began singing gospel at her church and later formed the Gospel Airs with her sister and relatives, a group that gave her the foundation to grow into one of the most celebrated voices of her time. Her big break came in the early 1960s when she teamed up with Burt Bacharach and Hal David, a partnership that resulted in timeless hits like Walk On By, I Say a Little Prayer, and Do You Know the Way to San Jose? Unlike the powerhouse belters of her era, Warwick's strength was in her subtle phrasing and her emotional storytelling, making her stand out and cementing her place in pop music history. Her success wasn't limited to one decade. She continued making an impact through the 70s and 80s, eventually scoring a massive hit with That's What Friends Are For, alongside Elton John, Gladys Knight, and Stevie Wonder, a song that not only topped the charts but also raised millions for AIDS research. She became a global humanitarian, serving as a United Nations ambassador and using her platform to support causes in health, equality, and education. On top of her music, she became a familiar face on television, hosting Solid Gold in the 80s and staying relevant through appearances and, more recently, her witty presence on social media that earned her love from younger fans. Over the years, she has collected countless awards, including Grammy honors, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and a place among the most charted female vocalists of all time, second only to Aretha Franklin between 1955 and 1999. Her personal life also drew attention, particularly her marriage to actor and drummer William Elliott. They first wed in 1966, divorced a year later, and then remarried in Milan in 1967, a union that brought two sons, David and Damon. Both followed the family tradition into music, with David performing with his mother on stage and Damon becoming a well-known producer working with stars across genres. Despite the joys of raising a family, Warwick's marriage eventually ended in divorce in 1975, underscoring the challenges of balancing fame, personal relationships, and financial struggles in the spotlight. Still, Warwick remained the strong foundation for her family, openly acknowledging that she had always been the breadwinner and never relied on a man for support. Her sons continued her legacy, with David co-writing and performing alongside her and even stepping into acting, while Damon built a successful career as a producer, including collaborating on her own projects. Their careers proved that Warwick's influence carried into the next generation, creating a family lineage deeply connected to music. Even into her later years, Warwick continued recording, releasing new albums, touring, and earning Grammy nominations, proving her artistry was timeless. Now at 84, Warwick has decided to speak candidly about Michael Jackson, someone she watched grow from a gifted child into one of the most famous figures on the planet. She recalls meeting him as a young boy in the Jackson 5, noticing not only his unmatched talent but also a sadness in him that never seemed to go away. She remembers how much pressure he faced from his father, from Motown, and from the expectations of the world, recognizing early on the toll it would take on him. To her, Michael was like a sponge, soaking up love, fame, and criticism, but eventually carrying more than any one person could hold. Warwick says the world only saw the spectacle, the moonwalk, the glove, the scandals, the surgeries, but never fully saw the little boy who didn't get to grow up in peace. She emphasizes that he remained kind, even while losing pieces of himself to the weight of fame. When speaking about the controversies that have surrounded Michael's life and legacy, Warwick does not defend nor condemn, but she insists on the need for empathy and honesty. She believes the world lost a man who lived with deep pain but still gave music that uplifted millions, and she stresses that his humanity, with all its flaws and beauty, deserves to be remembered. For Warwick, speaking now isn't about creating headlines but about leaving truth behind. At her age, she feels she has lived long enough to see clearly and to understand the importance of telling stories honestly, especially about those no longer here to tell them themselves. To her, sharing these reflections about Michael Jackson is an act of love, a way to honor his humanity while recognizing the cost of his brilliance. In doing so, she reminds us that even icons are fragile, and that behind every legend is simply a human being trying to hold on to themselves in a world that demands so much.